Welcome to the Hair Industry Mixer. Get ready to dive into a world where hair meets makeup, beauty, fashion, business, and entertainment. Join me as I mix it up with special guests and friends sharing captivating stories and insider knowledge about the hair industry. From business strategies on set to the secrets behind the chair, I'm here to provide you with the scoop and keep you up to date with the latest. So buckle up and prepare to be immersed in a blend of informative, entertaining discussions. Let's uncover the secrets of the hair industry together. So grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and get ready to indulge in the ultimate hair experience. This is your chance to stay in the loop, be in the know, and take your hair game to a whole new level. Let's mix and mingle and have a good old time at the Hair Industry Mixer podcast show. Hey, Johnny, welcome to my show, the Hair Industry Mixer. We are interviewing with Johnny Lomeli, right?
Yes, Johnny Lomeli.
Lomeli. Forgive me, because I totally switched the O and the E around.
It's
And
okay.
calling you something totally different. But welcome to my show. We are here with Emmy nominated and Moaz award winner 2 times, right?
Yes, 2 times.
For wig artistry. You are like known for doing a bunch of wigs for which shows?
Oh, my very first one was Legendary, season 2 and 3. I've done it for So You Think You Can Dance,
Okay.
Dancing with the Stars. I've had a lot of stuff show up on RuPaul's Drag Race,
Okay.
just to name a couple.
Just an advocate. Okay, those are some big hitting shows though. Like I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with those shows. Legendary and what was that? Um
Dancing with the Stars.
the Stars. We know, yeah, we got a few people that work on that a lot. So
Mhm.
that's pretty commendable. Congrats to you on those awards too.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you're gonna be getting that Emmy soon.
One day, one day.
We gotta get these shows back running.
We do, we do.
Okay. So, how long you been doing wigs? Like, what was your start with doing wigs?
I've been doing wigs for I want to say like 12 years solid now.
Oh wow.
Um, I started at Disneyland, my original training. Never thought my career would end up there.
Uh-huh.
And then I started there, started my own drag wig business because after you style all the princesses, it gets kind of boring. So
I can
I just
imagine.
wanted to push myself and try to go a little bit further, and somehow I ended up here.
Hey, in Hollywood, right?
Yes.
That's cool. That is so cool. Um, could you share some of your experiences working with the wigs, or how did the process go working there? Or can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Okay.
I was there for 10 years, worked on a lot of amazing things, worked on the electrical parade. I've worked with fiber optic wigs. I've worked with human hair wigs at Disney. There's not many, but there are still some. But most of them are purely synthetic.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So tell us, did you learn any tech specific or special techniques when you were there at Disney when styling those wigs?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Like we have many different tricks of the trade. Sometimes like we'll either pull like a boy's hairline out and blend it in with the wig so it looks like a specific character. Like for instance, like Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, like
Uh,
they'll the meet and greet character will pull out like the front of his hairline so it just looks more natural. Or like if you're styling a wig, and usually they're pretty damp or wet if you're freshly rolling them,
uh-huh.
and you need to dry them, but you don't have a $3,000 wig dryer. You can pretty much like get a blow dryer, a box, cut a little hole, stick the blow dryer on the top of the box, and just set it in the corner and wait for it to dry.
Okay, so we're kind of hotboxing over
A
here with
little
the
hot
wigs.
box, so in a pinch. So if you need
Okay.
something, I've whipped out that box a couple times where we need to dry something pretty fast, and it works. It holds up really well. So
That's actually like not a bad idea. You hear that, hairstylist? Like if you are in the trailer and you need a hair dryer and you don't have one handy, you said get a box, like a
well, either like a shipping box, cut a little
okay,
hole, and set that blow dryer on top. Put
okay.
it on high, medium heat, and just let it do its thing.
But of course, the box would have to be big enough for the head to go under for it
Yes.
on. Okay. Yeah.
So
So not just any type of box, but a
not
box.
any type of box, but usually the crafty will have a box, or there will be a box somewhere on set.
Okay. That's a good point or a good little keeper point for sure.
Yeah. Definitely can take that. It saved me many times.
Okay, okay. So that's one. Any other tips or any other tricks that you've learned? I mean, maybe not just there working at Disneyland, but like on any other shows you find yourself.
Well, like another good trick for like, let's just say from Disney, a lot of the wigs are not full lace wigs. Usually 95% of them are not.
Okay.
So when you have updos, like there's a lot, you have to worry about that wig line showing. So
Uh-huh.
there's different techniques that you learn to pretty much drape that wig a little bit lower and style it to where it just looks flush with the neck. So
Do tell. I'm like, what is
but
that?
yeah, so draping. So a lot of the time, so like all pretty much all the wigs at Disney are hard fronts.
Oh,
So there's a way that you have to add just enough like back combing at the base. And there's a certain way that you can like lay the hair kind of like a Nike swoop and kind of just to hide it,
okay.
pin that way. So it just looks more natural without having to have a lace front wig. But that's a little trick that we would do.
Okay. So you said like a Nike swoop? Okay.
So if you have an
That's
ear
great.
tab here and you just
That's
need to
great.
pull that hair down and just kind of like pull it back to hides, and you'll be able to pin into the wig cap and all that. So,
Okay, okay.
and it works really well on the nape. So,
Good to know. Good to know. Have you ever run into an issue where and it was last minute, you know how production is, they change things up on you and you don't necessarily have a wig handy that will be like a one size fit all, which it doesn't really exist, but like you had someone in your chair, you had a wig, but it didn't quite fit. What have you done to in those situations, or have you had that happen?
you kind of have to just like fly by the seat of your pants and make certain things work.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I've split open a wig to make sure it fits. Like it was a one-time use style wig, so like
Okay.
we had to Frankenstein it. So
It was
there's
just rigs.
yeah, it was rigged to sit and pin. So yeah.
That's okay, okay. So it was too small apparently if you had to split it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Did the
So
person have like a lot of hair?
yes, they did. They had a lot of hair and it was just not like we took three of us to try to like pack it down, but there was just no way.
Oh wow. Have
Yeah.
you done someone with locks or braids?
I have
Yeah.
on So You Think You Can Dance, one of our wigs that I styled went on a amazing dancer named Comfort, and she had braids pretty much to her waist, and we had to like pack that in and stretch that wig, but we made it work.
Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Was it like a what kind of style was the wig though? Because I feel
Uh,
like it depends on if it's like big hair or if it's sleek or straight hair.
it was a bigger hair. It was a sculpted piece, more like avant-garde, high fashion. So we had a little wiggle room.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. That's cool. Sounds like I feel like you would definitely need some type of a specific look to pull that off, especially if it was like
Yeah, so that was more on like the reality competition side,
yeah.
but I feel like I mean we've had a girl where her hair was too long and it wouldn't fit in the wig, where costumes gave her a jacket and she had just it running down the back of her back, and they put a jacket right over her.
Oh,
And
okay.
so when there's a will, there's a
Clever.
way.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always some we're pulling off some always pulling off something.
we really are.
What was that? The movie magic type stuff?
Smoke and mirror is what I like to
Smoke and mirrors. That's a better term. I feel like we do that a lot.
we do.
We do. Okay, so any other tips or things that you would share when coming to like styling wigs and stuff?
um like not to be afraid of like synthetic wigs because they're pretty awesome, and you can't use direct heat from like a curling iron, but you can definitely use steam, and a steam will go a long way with a synthetic wig.
Okay. So what's your jam? Like, what do you prefer to work on when coming to working with wigs and stuff like that? What's your thing?
It honestly just depends on the project because you can do some pretty awesome styles on a synthetic wig
Hmm.
and that will last all day versus, a human hair wig. Sometimes you have to chase or like reset it or try to make some magic happen while it's still on the person.
Okay. Okay. So if you were to be called for something, or yeah, if you wanted to be called to style wigs or to be called for that person to be known as Johnny the wig master or Johnny the artist, the wig artist for styling something, what would it be that you would want to be called for?
Known for synthetic wigs
Okay.
because I can definitely do some crazy stuff with synthetic wig that not the average person can.
Okay. And where can one see your work?
Well, I do have like my formal Instagram, Johnny Does It Best,
Okay.
with two T's at the end. But then I had like attached to mine is my drag page where you can see like beautiful, simple, elegant styles and just some crazy camp drag styles too.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen your work. You do amazing stuff. I'm like, you should teach some classes. But anyway.
It's a long process. That's one good thing about like wigs is where like if you get frustrated, I can walk away.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I'm
yeah, if
like,
you're in your own space, but on set you cannot.
no, no, I'll be like, I'll hand it off to someone. Like, let me tag team over here. I need a break from this. But usually we'll have it, hopefully everything done before the actor comes and sits for their wig.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, yeah. Before a talent comes, that wig would definitely need to be styled first. So synthetics versus human hair wigs. Um, what was I gonna say?
I have
They have
one
different there's different capabilities of
total different
styling
capabilities and
synthetics versus human.
synthetics like rollers and like you can use mesh rollers on both, but like steam versus, heating up, misting a human hair wig.
Mhm.
And there's just so many different things that like take for it to do. And each wig will hold things differently. Like human hair, it's human, so it can go the elements around it can take it to another place. So like if it's humid, your that wig's gonna react how the person's hair would react to that wig. Whereas synthetic, it will stay where you put it.
Okay. That's a benefit of that. But then you can find some synthetics. I guess they call it like some type of fiber, right? That you can
Yeah.
use heat on them, right?
Mhm. You can. So like now there's stronger fibers,
Hmm.
but I've set like wigs with hot rollers,
Hmm.
curling iron, and then like my good old fashioned like wet set steam combo.
Hmm.
And they'll all curl, but the other two just don't really like they'll droop like natural hair,
Okay.
where the other one will stay because you have reset that plastic into that new form.
Okay. Hmm. And then when it comes to styling the human hair, like I guess I would say, hmm, as
They're way more delicate, especially when like cleaning them. You have to be very careful too, because I feel
the
like
lace.
well, the lace and the knots, I feel are just more sensitive in general, depending
Mhm.
what that it's gone through too.
Yeah.
Because we can go to a set sometimes and it's like, here you go, and it's like, thank you. Uh,
When they take that wig off, yeah.
yeah.
Hand it back, you be like, oh geez.
This wasn't what it looked like when you first started the day.
Right. But normally though, like realistically, that someone passing off a wig to you on set like that would be probably one of those cheaper wigs. But the other types, like we're talking about a more styled one, or like the lace front wigs, that's um I'm at a loss for words, sorry. Where you have to use adhesive to apply the wig on, like they gotta come back to us to get it removed. It's not something that. So let's get into the types of wigs and the styling differences, like between synthetics versus human hair, because both have different capabilities.
Yeah.
So, like, you want to,
Uh,
which one you want to start with?
I mean, I love like human hair is great to easy to style. Almost everyone can style it.
Yeah.
Um, but with human hair, you can use your hot tools, but then you also can do an old-fashioned like wet set.
Mhm.
And I feel with the old-fashioned like wet sets, like that style stays for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna stay.
So, I mean, those are like the perks of that, but synthetic, like it's a process. Like if sometimes you have to wash your wig if it's too plasticky looking and like it looked like it came from Party City. Uh, take some of that like shine off, and then there is, you have to set it, block it, set it, steam it, and
Mhm.
all that jazz. So and then you still have to have them all dry. So there's just depends, like one, your outcome, two, budget, uh
Mhm.
and then like three, how long do you have? Because there are times where I'm sure you've been in the same situation. They're like, we need this new character that we just added last minute tomorrow.
Yeah. And that happens a lot.
Yeah,
That
it
happens.
it does happen a lot.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
And
Hmm. Go ahead.
oh, and it's just like, oh, I have to get this wig for this actor who is a celebrity, but the not number one on the call sheet. And it's like, I have a day and this is all I have to show. These are the only options you have for a wig. I hope you like and it tests well, or it looks good behind the monitor. Um,
Right. That's where the challenges begin, I think.
yeah. Like a lot of times people don't realize, like, you have a day to source a wig and it's 4 p.m. and all the wig shops are closing.
Right. And you're like you're filming in the middle of nowhere and you need to get to the other side of the town before they close. It's
Yes, or like place an order. You're like, I need someone to go for me and pick up this. I don't care what it looks like, just grab it. So
yeah,
you have a wig to
just
show.
right, right. And then it's just like, okay, that's when you're like trying to decide, should you get a good human one or a good synthetic that looks human. But when it comes to that A-list, and it also depends like what their role is too in the character,
Yeah, like,
you know.
and there's just so many factors where it's like the end of shooting, and it's like, here's find it for me, please.
Yeah.
Like,
It's more of like taking pictures and then sending from that point.
yes, and you're just like, hopefully you like these options, and then usually that's when someone gets get called in, like, hey, I know you can whip this up real quick, or like there have been times where like, hey, we have a scene that's happening tomorrow and we need you to style all these wigs just in time for tomorrow's shoot. Like,
Have you gotten that call before?
I have I think it comes out like this month, but it was a drag scene and I got called, like, let's just say a Thursday, and they're
Mhm.
like, can you come to set right now and start some of these wigs ready for tomorrow, because we're using them tomorrow? And it's like, yeah, I'm available.
How many did you have to bang out?
Six. Six.
6. And
Yeah.
at what time did you get to start?
3 p.m.
And you stopped when?
Uh Personally, I stopped at like 9.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm pretty fast. Um that's one good thing about my Disney training is like I can make it happen fast.
Okay. That's a plus. That's a
That
win.
is a plus. That is
That's
a
a
plus.
plus. Especially if
'Cause
you're able to move fast. You'll
yeah,
always get phone calls in.
I
I
hope
can see why not.
I'm thankful for that. And then like show me a picture of what you want it to look like. That's like my trick. Like, okay, I can duplicate it because there's only one Cinderella,
Uh-huh.
5,000 throughout worldwide the different parks. Because yeah,
So, and then like because of there's being so many layers, I'm like, and my thoughts about it all, right? Because there's so many different scenarios that happen when it comes to being a hairstylist on set and playing with wigs and stuff like that. Because the thing is, like, it all comes down to what budgeting and time. Those two
those two are
things.
like together. They're best friends.
Yeah, yeah, they are truly. But like, those are the things too. Like, when it comes to the budgeting part, hopefully it's all laid out in the beginning during production meetings as far as like, okay, once you look over the script and able to break it down, you're like, okay, for this person, we're going to need so many wigs to
Yeah.
recreate this look, especially because I think like depending on how the scenes go, maybe a person's in there coloring their hair or they're cutting it off or they're getting in the water.
Water scene, gotta love a water scene.
Like you're going to want to have multiple wigs.
Like ready to go.
Yeah, because if they do a reset, you can't use that same wet wig. It needs to be dry again. And nobody wants to sit and wait for you to go dry that one wig and
Exactly.
set it again versus having an already prepared wig and then you just switch it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean that like in those type of scenarios, like you're just one piece of a moving train, like
For sure.
makeup, costumes, like everyone's trying to get this wet woman dry and
Mhm.
make it look like from start.
Right,
But that comes down to like the budget of like, okay, how many wigs can I get? And like
right,
how much quality do you want to put or are you going to allow me to put into this wig?
right. That part right there. and,
Yeah. I
and,
can
go
You
ahead.
can refront a wig. You can, pluck a hairline, you can use a synthetic, but like it just there's so many different factors that come down to it.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And then that also goes into when we're talking about production meetings and knowing how many wigs and how many players that might need wigs. Then we're thinking about, okay, how real do we want these wigs to look?
Right.
Because then that's where it gets real pricey.
Yes, that part. And it's like, okay, some sources of hair are not the same since COVID. So,
No, it's true. It's true.
like we're all fighting for the same batch of wigs at one point. Like when everything was up and running, like we were all fighting for the same stuff. So
Right. And
it
the access to some of these sources either got cut off because of what other world things that were actually happening, right? So that kind of cut off our access to certain suppliers when it came to getting our,
because
getting.
I mean,
Mhm.
you and I will buy from LA or
Right,
have it shipped on Amazon because we needed it 3 weeks ago and I have no time to get something.
right.
Or, like we don't know where that all that came from, like where that hair has been sourced, who's making the lace, what part of the world it's all being done. So there's so many factors that were affected.
Yeah. And then that's when it's good to have like some good wig makers on hand that at least you can maybe get a refront to
Yeah.
budget a bit. You know what I mean? If you can't get a full on like beautiful lace wig. you know, those are expensive. Those those
Yes.
those get those
And
are
not
good.
every production has the budget for it.
No, not all. Unless you're getting on a good, probably like a Spielberg or like a a movie, a film. I feel like a film, you land on a good film, you can
Mhm.
get all the things you need because for the audience, that's visual. You see a bad wig on
It's
somebody, it's very
so,
distracting.
and like, yeah, they're like, I mean, I heard someone online, they're like, anyone could have done it. It's like there are so many factors you do not understand.
Yeah,
You know, like it's a job. It's a job like every other job. Like people do get let go. And if you're on a team and that is your piece, and you're no longer with that production, or you have to move on to a different production,
right.
like, the
You're gonna start seeing whole new looks for this
whole new
character that
looks and whole
once
new everything. And
uh-huh.
like
It
that's
might
some
not look the same.
it's like it's the same but not the same.
Yeah,
you
like
know
what's going on here?
you
There's
know
some shows specifically I remember seeing that happen, but then I also knew a little detail from the behind the scenes because I knew some of the people on that particular show. And
it's
I was just like, wow. And you could see a difference. It was
there's been many times where
the
like
thing.
I'm like, what happened?
Yeah,
I'll like wait for the credits to roll and be like, I know them. Let me text real quick.
yeah,
What happens?
right, right. I found myself doing that, and they were like, the budget,
The budget, or like
budget,
that wig went with the first team that came in and then
right.
flipped the project.
Right. So like they might not have those things, but like if it's a bought item, that belongs to production. So
Right.
they
But
would have access. Go
I've
ahead.
done a lot of I've done a lot of stuff where it's
Uh-huh.
been rented.
Yeah.
So like, and
Yeah, if it's rented and it's with that department that was there,
and
they have to return it. And then productions have to find a way.
there's just so many different factors. It's like,
Yes.
yeah,
It's yeah. It gets tricky.
it,
So
it gets
ladies and gentlemen, when y'all see these bad wigs, it's not always in our control.
It's
It's
not.
not.
It's not. Well, trust me, like we did our best to put it out. Like it's definitely not no fresh out of the bag spirit Halloween wig. That's for sure. I mean, I have seen some in a bin before, and I just have not selected the wig to use. I just moved on to a different one.
Right, right. We'll just have to bypass some stuff, like for real, for real.
Like we're just seeing a shape, right? We're not seeing details.
Right. Now that's yeah, that's when you can pull off like using those bad wigs, I'll say. Is like when you're just seeing the silhouette. And then
Yeah,
another way that you possibly can cheat it, pulling out the hairline.
yeah.
But that's if the color matches. That's the only way it's
Matches.
gonna work.
There's no part. Like
Yeah,
there's so many. Yeah, million factors, million
yeah.
factors.
But
If
then
you're
too, there's also like you can use the color wow to spray,
right,
get a natural
natural,
hair to match the wig, right?
yes. But it's just it's wild sometimes where people are like, I don't get it. And I was like, you don't understand. It's hour 19 right now, and that's the best that it's going to look.
Right. And it's yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, and it depends on the person also skill set.
That too.
Yeah,
That too. And like and then it comes down to like, an amazing department head. Like, do they know to like stack their team with like every card in the deck to make sure that, if anything goes awry,
you
could
got someone to
happen.
pull from that deck to place.
Back.
Yeah,
Yep. So I've worked with some amazing department heads, and I'm like, that's the biggest fire I've ever seen, and you put that out without even like blinking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that also boils down to the players.
It does. It does. It does.
And then also trusting your players. Like that's another thing to do the job,
Right.
right?
Like it may look crazy right now. If it doesn't look good when I'm at the end, then by all means you can tear it apart or like tell me what I need to fix.
Yeah. So like honestly to combat that or the antidote to those things not happening is well, it starts in production meetings for one, discussing all the things that's needed for all the looks, you know what I mean?
Oh,
For all the looks. and making sure you can get what you need within the budget. I mean, if you can get a little bit more out of it, especially if, I
It's
always think too that when it comes to the arts, because it's an art, all of it is.
it is.
It's an art and it's a visual thing. It's boiling down to how good does this producer and these directors want this to look?
Yeah.
Because it's all moving parts. They got to have enough for wardrobe. They have to have enough for the makeup department. They have to have enough for the hair department. But like, I guess I don't know. I'm not in their chair when it's time for them to make those decisions. But like, how, like, how much do they really want to sell this movie or this idea that this character really is who they want them to be?
Right.
And like, hair is a big thing because you see that first.
Yeah, that's the first thing that like change, like that's what you recognize them as.
Yeah, you recognize them as. So like that's the thing where they're okay. If we're doing lace wigs, how good does that look? That wig look? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even if you have multiple players with wigs, then it's like, how many of these good wigs can we really get and have backups if we need it? You know what I mean? Because that's all relative.
It really is.
Enough wigs for the job to be done and be done well.
Yes.
Because if not, it's a struggle bus along the way. And nobody really wants to be on the struggle bus on a
No.
big to do film or TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, I've worked on, a show where it's like season one and season two like are
It looks completely different.
completely different. Where like you didn't believe in it at first, oh, you believed in it completely. Like we got what we needed to make it look the way it should have.
Right. And that's the part that sucks because it's like we know something about our craft. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's a I'll say it's a
Like,
prayer that one day we get what we need the first time around.
right? Like you need to trust me. Like
Yeah,
this is my livelihood. This is what I do for a living. It's my passion. Like
for
I've
sure.
voted, you know, so many years. Like just trust me when I say what I know what I'm talking. Like
Right. Like I only won an Emmy because
or like
I know what
people
I'm
are like,
doing.
like there's so many amazing department heads. I'm like, you're telling them no, but they have a little man named Oscar and they're like right next to that. Like, like
Yeah,
just trust them. They know what they're talking about. Give them what they want.
for real.
And it's very like awesome to have worked with and been with people who like have Emmys and have Oscars. And I'm like, I want to be you one day. Like
You and I grow up. Tell me the secrets. Like,
honestly.
yeah,
And it's just like I know a couple for a fact, like them sticking their ground and
yeah.
getting what they need for their team.
And you know what? I think, well, not what I think. It's how you present it.
Right.
I mean, I feel like you can always get what you need. It's just how you present it.
100%. Like if you present it and you tell them why you need X, Y, and Z,
Uh-huh.
and they need it in
Yes.
order to help their vision come to life, like it's
It's literally you have to sell them their own dream. Like
honestly,
you sell them their own dream, but it's just literally how you word it, you present it to them. Like, I want this to be an amazing piece for you. I'm like, we're a team here, but in order to get this look that we're looking at from your vision board or whatever, right? We're gonna need a good lace front piece for that. And we're gonna need multiple because of this scene and that scene to back it up and to have a replacement because of X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
and it's so wild to just see how like the industry has changed so much as like a viewer because I never saw myself on this side
Mhm.
until everything fell into place. So like seeing everything like all these pretty much wigs being used everywhere, which is a beautiful thing because I took my career in this path not knowing that it would connect to this path.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like who knew that wigs synthetic human just are able to take you far in life and in the industry.
Yeah, it can take you far, but like you definitely got to be good about your skills. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Really,
And,
well-rounded, whether you're well-rounded or you have a specialty like that people know you for, be great at it. And
and work with those party city wigs. Like I can whip out one of the worst fiber wig,
mm,
and make it not as bad,
uh,
but it comes down to what you're working with,
yeah,
like
yeah.
shake and go wigs, or like the really nice wigs that are coming out, the synthetic wise, like the fibers that I keep seeing. And I have a few vendors that I work with, and they'll like send me testers or samples of like new wigs. They're like, here's our new fiber, and it's like these are getting insanely good.
Okay.
They
Okay.
just haven't crossed over yet, which is wild.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean like in the mainstream, like to the public, or are you talking about?
Like the last wig that I just got, um, it it was full lace synthetic wig, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
we're changing we're changing things around, because you'll always have your tracks, and it's like a different fibers. It's like you said, the other ones that are coming out, like you can use other like heat on them.
Uh-huh.
Same thing with this, but it's weird. It's like a like thicker individual strand, because like we have fine, coarse, and
So it's of
so
course.
it's wild that what they're coming up with these days.
Okay, I want to see. Next
Yeah,
time
well,
I see
definitely.
you, I want to see this wig. Like,
Right? Just like, what's in my set bag? Let's see.
right, right, right. Oh, you brought it today.
We love to pack light. Uh,
That's a hard thing to do because you just
that's
don't want to get in a place and you don't have your stuff that you like to work with.
Yes,
You
that's the
know?
worst thing. It's like I have like my regular hair kit, and then I have like my wig kit.
Uh-huh.
Kind of have to have some things fall into the real hair like kit, because they don't tell you, oh, by the way, there's wigs on this project.
Uh-huh.
you know like I've worked on something, and they're like, hey, are you good at 80s hair? Yeah, come on over. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then you're like, wait, what am I working on? Like, you never know what you're going to get most of the time,
That's
unless you have a great department head who's like, hey, by the way, this is what we're working with.
right. Now, like typically when I get called for things like that, they will let me know off the back. But then, yeah, like you do fall into some shows because it's so busy and it's like moving fast. Sometimes they don't get to tell you all the details, excuse me, that you really need to know.
I've definitely gotten a couple calls where it's just like, here's the address, here's your call time.
Like
That
crickets on the
like,
details.
hey, is there anything? Do I need to bring hot rollers? Do I need to bring, a block?
I mean,
Like,
if they provide all that there, then yeah, that's good.
you're right. But, main trailer sometimes, if you're day playing, BG Land, sometimes doesn't get all that.
No, 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 no. But then, well, again with the layers, hopefully they already have their wigs together and you can just put it on the person and keep it moving like a factory.
Right. Well, I definitely worked in Winning Time Factory.
I did too. It was like it was an interesting flow there. It was an interesting
Yes, it
flow
was.
there.
I
Yeah,
think on season two, I like lost count after like I applied 50 wigs. I was like, I'm done counting. Thank God all of them were not lace fronts, but that was a wild show.
it was busy. Like once you start working, it was like, I don't know, when are we gonna stop?
The line's still going. It's all right. It's fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah, yeah. It was if it wasn't putting the wig on, it was styling for that period.
Yeah. Or like my favorite is like when it was the set mom who handed me my bottle of water to make sure I don't pass out.
Like you needed a break for sure, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Were you able to style some of the wigs and set them before on that one, or they had their own team for that?
So season one and season two were kind of a little different. Season one,
Hmm.
we like would style the day before or like the shift before. But I mean, there were so many people on that where it would literally just come off and we'd have to get ready for like the next day. It just, and season two, it was like, try to do it on their head and make it look as good as possible for like background. When it came to the basketball players and everyone else, that's a
That's
different,
preset. Yeah, that's preset.
because those are very specific looks.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure they have probably multiple ones too for them.
Uh
No.
we had a floating wig or two.
Oh wow. Okay.
Blonde. It'll fit him.
Oh
Uh
geez. Okay.
or like, where did that wig go? I didn't give it to the actor, but it's not here. It's on someone else.
Oh, okay. So they had to switch it out.
That's when the multiple wigs are definitely come in handy.
That part right there. That was a big cast though.
It was very big. And
That was
then
a
like
big cast.
the extra basketball teams that they would have that would come in and play different characters. So it was fun. I got my
That
medical from that show.
how many you said what?
I got my medical hours from that show. So
Oh, okay. Like bring those shows back, please.
um, seriously, we miss those.
Yeah, especially nowadays. But let's see what this summer brings us.
Yes, I'll work nights and outside. Sure. Luke Cloud Ranch, do you have a snake wrangler? No? Okay. Yeah.
These location shots right now.
I mean, we had snake wranglers not too long ago.
Oh
When we
yeah.
were in Irvine.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
They're in was it Malibu?
oh, in Malibu
Oh,
too.
I think so, because we were in the mountains.
Yeah, but in Irvine too, we had our wrangler, and I think in Malibu they had two.
Okay, they
Mm,
probably did because we covered a lot of space over there
gotta love locations.
sometimes.